Oh, now it's working. Hello, hello. Just going to grab my sage. Oh, comments are already popping up. Hello, hello. Good morning. Welcome. Just lighting my sage. How's everyone? Hello, hello. Good morning. Hi, Jessica. Good morning, darling. Or I should say good evening for you. You're in Australia. You're very late, aren't you? I woke up at 1:11 a.m. on 11. Oh, I hope you're feeling good. I have your gifts right here, by the way. They came last night. Thank you so much, Jessica. Look at this, guys. I got some organite in the mail. And I'm loving the little koalas you sent me, Jessica. They're so cute. Although I must admit, Aiden already ate all the chocolates you sent all the way from Australia as well. He loved those little chocolates that you sent. So thank you very much. You guys spoil us. Aiden, it makes Aiden's whole year when he sees that I've got a package. He's like, and I was like, oh, I bet you there's something in there for you. And when he saw the candy, he made his entire day. I'm going to tell you, he was jumping up and down and so happy. In fact, I'm going to send you a picture of him indulging later, Jessica. So thank you again very much for the gift all the way from Australia. Very kind of you. And good morning to everyone. Hello, hello, everybody. Nice to see you all. Thank you for joining me this morning. Hi, Jody. Hope you had a great birthday week. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Leanne. Hi, Connie. Hi, Alicia. Good morning, Lori. Hello, hello. Hi, Katya. Hi, Anna. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Grant. Nice to see you, Grant. How are you, Sarah? Hi, Rhea. Hi, Alma. Hi, Azriel. Hi, Erin. Hi, Margarita. Hi, Lindsay. How is everyone? Good morning. Good morning. It's nice to see you all. Hi, Angie. Hi, Summer. Hi, Nadine. Hi, Jessica. Hi, Elaine. Hello, hello. Hi, Jennifer. Both Jennifers. Welcome, everyone. It's great to see you all this morning. How are you guys doing? I'm feeling great this morning, but I know some of you guys are going through some really heavy shit, so I'm trying to keep the vibe high today, considering all the chaos, absolute fucking chaos that is happening around the world right now. So, in fact, I might even relight my sage a little bit. Where's my Palo Santo? Actually, no more sage. Where's my Palo Santo? What did I do with my Palo Santo? What have you guys been up to? Maybe I'll even light some frankincense, considering all the stuff that's happening. I know a lot of you wanted to talk about what's happening in California right now. Really devastating what's happening there, I must say. I know many of you know friends and family that are in the area, so I'm sending you guys all my love. I know it's very scary times right now. And the craziness that are happening around the country. I mean, the wind is picking up all over the country. There's all kinds of crazy things that are happening. So far, 2025 has been no joke. I'm right. I'm actually, see what I mean? I'm lighting some frankincense here. Because why not? Bring in the extra high vibe jujus today. Do you guys remember seeing my sparkly spark? There we go. It's going. And then once that's fully lit, try not to breathe any of this in when you light these. And then once it's done sparking, I'm doing this because my Palo Santo is in the other room. I'm literally just too lazy to get up and get that, so I've got this. So this is to bring in the good energies for the 11/11 portal. So sorry, the 1/11 portal for tomorrow. Big old chunk of frankincense I'm putting on there. And as you see, it starts to smoke. There we go. Just bring in some good energies this morning, because I know things are pretty crazy right now. Many thanks for the organite, Jessica. We need all the organite we can get right now. Hi, Chantal. Nice to see you, darling. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Cindy. How's everybody handling the weather recently? Here in the northeast corridor, it's getting better. It's been crazy for the last few weeks. Anybody have anything they want to discuss today? I had a really cute thing that occurred yesterday during a check. I messing around with my frankincense. Fell off my little stick here. And we gotta try to get it back up there. There we go. So, for those of you who are unaware, I have a lot of interesting and exciting things that are coming to fruition right now. And it's actually kind of exciting and also scary at the same time to have so many things happening all at once. I don't know about you guys, but this year has been intense. There's already so much that is occurring. And so, yeah, we're just very blessed for all of the wonderful, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a transition period that's going right now. And for those of you who might be noticing the energy is getting crazier by the day, especially with the election coming, things may get more and more crazy. My guides have told me that things are going to intensify. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. Like, that was the first thing that popped into my head when they was like, just buckle up. It's going to get crazy. And I was like, oh, why? Like hasn't it already been crazy enough? And for the fact that they're saying it's going to intensify when things are already intense, it's like, oh man, what is coming? But this is why they say, this is part of the shift. There's a lot of things that are happening that are shifting right now. And as Dolores and many other people have said for at least a decade, they did say that a lot of people are going to leave before the shift. That there's going to be a lot of people who are not ready for 5D Earth. And so they're going to transition back to the 3D. And so for those who are, that's not to say that everybody who is passing right now is not going to come back after the transition, because some people are ready. They just don't want the intensity of this period. So it's almost like, and this is something that the Tagetans have also said, it's like, let them go rest. If there are spirits that feel they don't want to be here anymore, that this is their time to go, they're going back to spirit to rest. And they will rest until this transition period has come to at least a point where they feel comfortable coming back. And this is not just people. This is also animals. This is, it's not just even people and animals. It's even like corporations you're going to start to notice are dissolving and falling apart or even cannibalizing themselves. So it's like the whole system, the whole collective is showing, it's almost like an Armageddon. I used the word Ragnarok yesterday. That's what it feels like is more accurate. But yeah, I mean, things are going to intensify. And this is why I say, like, this is the best time to start practicing your psychic protection, to start keeping up with your spiritual hygiene, to be grounding yourself daily, to be feeding yourself properly. And I know it's not easy because many of us are going through some really heavy shit right now. Some of you are going through really difficult relationship issues. Some of you are going through really problematic physical illnesses. And this is all part of the purging process. Everybody's purging right now. We're purging all the shit that no longer serves us. And because of that, there's a lot of stuff right now that is messy. It's almost like when you're so as a chef, right? For many years, you know what it's like when you have to clean out your kitchen, right? At least a couple times a year, or at least a good chef does this every time a year. They take everything out, they clean everything off, and then they put it back, right? So right now, it's like everything is being taken out. All of the shit is coming out of the closet, so to speak. We're having all of these things that a lot of people are coming to terms with that is pretty ugly, pretty nasty stuff that you didn't know was there is coming to the surface. And that's so we have the opportunity to deal with it, to clear it out, to make sure that we are cleansing the space properly. And anybody that comes in during the cleansing process, they come into a kitchen that is utterly destroyed, right? Because there's shit everywhere. There's mess everywhere. Everything is just chaotic. And you're like, oh my God. And sometimes you just see the mess and you're like, nope, I'm going to let you do your thing. And you run away, right? Well, this is what we're going through right now. This is the messy period where we're pulling all the shit out so we can see what we have, right? Then we're going to cleanse it and then we're going to put it back. And we're only going to put back the stuff we want, the stuff we need, versus all the things that are no longer serving us, the things we no longer use, the things that are actually holding us back. All of those things are going to be removed. And what's interesting is I also spoke, so one of the guides told me something yesterday. This was a message from, I believe it was Magdalena that came through. I did three hours of clearings yesterday. I spoke with the soul guides for quite a bit. So I believe it was Magdalena that said, we are in a transition period where the earth itself, Gaia herself, is ascending. And if Gaia, her consciousness, is actually ascending to that point, everything around her, attached to her, is going to raise in vibration and ascend as well. And because of that, all the things that are blocking the ascension, all the low vibe crap that is getting in the way, those are the things that are being purged right now. So I don't want to say too much. I find it very odd about Hollywood and, seeing all the flames behind the Hollywood sign and all of this. But remember what fire is about. Fire is about cleansing. And so even though devastation does come through and it's heartbreaking, it is absolutely soul crushing to see so many animals and people suffering. But if you go back and look at a forest, even 10 years after it burned, you start to notice that it's healthier than it was before in many cases. So right now we are trying to cleanse the things that are lowering the vibration of this planet, that are keeping us in this. Leanne's is like a dog getting a flea bath. Yes, exactly. Yes. A lot of people have said that analogy recently, like the earth is getting ready to shake us off like a bad case of fleas. But I don't truly believe that. I believe the earth loves us. Gaia loves us. She does. She truly does. Anybody that's gotten a deep connection to Pachamama during I don't know, any kind of meditation or even a psychedelic trip, you understand she is pure love. So I don't think that Gaia is intentionally trying to purge humans from the planet, as many people have said, in their rants online recently. But I do believe that she wants what's best for us. And sometimes tough love can look like that, So we're getting thrown out the nest, so to speak, because we need to fly. We all need to learn how to grow and advance ourselves. And unfortunately, complacency and, ignorance doesn't allow that to happen. So Leanne says, yes, she does. I can feel her deeply. Yep. Gaia truly does love us very much. So she's doing what is the best thing she can for us. And especially for, us Earth, the people who are Earth seeds, who are very deeply connected to her. You have felt that pain. You have felt, that the Earth is suffering. So she's going through a transition period right now. It's almost like she's fasting. She's ascending right now. And things are going to get crazy. They really are. But after that period of craziness, I truly believe things are going to settle down and they'll be better than it ever was before. I believe that with all my heart. Daniel Jackson says, facts, I am a wood dragon sign. Well, there you go. This is your year, Daniel Jackson. This is the year of the wood dragon. And just reading through the comments. Since I just mentioned psychedelics as well, there was something else that was interesting. I did a clearing on somebody yesterday, and they had something that I haven't found very often. In fact, I've only ever found, I think, 4 of these types. So how when I'm doing clearings, I go and I ask, are there any contracts available? And I was like, normally you do. We see dark contracts. We see old soul contracts that no longer serve you. So those are like contracts that you made when you were, I don't know, pre-incarnation, right? And you have this contract and you're like, oh, I don't know if I need this anymore. I don't think it's serving me anymore. Well, you can clear those if they no longer serve you. So sometimes we find those. Sometimes we find ancestral contracts. Ancestral contracts are contracts like soul contracts that follow your family bloodline. Sometimes we also find karmic contracts. So that is karma that you are repaying for whatever particular reason. But yesterday they found an interdimensional contract. And when I heard this, they said, okay, one interdimensional contract. And of course, I'm like, what? Do tell. I must know more. And the guides told me, they're like, well, this is a contract that he made with another version of himself. I was like, what? I'm like, so from a different timeline? And they're like, yeah, exactly. So he connected to another version of himself in another timeline, and he made a contract with himself in another timeline. And I was like, how did this happen? And they said, oh, psychedelic trip in his early 20s. So apparently, while this person was tripping, they went into an alternate reality of themselves, visited themselves, and then made a contract, a negative soul contract with themselves in another alternate reality. And this contract was not a good one. It was like one of those contracts where it makes your life difficult for various reasons. So it makes you wonder, like, how does that even work? Like, you made an agreement with yourself. But yeah, this was a contract that needed to be cleared because obviously, we only clear the bad contracts. We don't clear the ones that are obviously there for important reasons, for positive reasons anyway. Let's see. Julie says, I'm getting tested with family, i.e. kids. I'm not so well, got some viral infections. There's a lot of that going around right now. Grounded myself yesterday and feel Mother Earth. She gave me energy. I can feel the pain from everywhere. I will continue to be strong no matter what. That's beautiful, Julie. One of my mediums that I work with, she lives in LA, so she's not far from all of this. And so when I did the clearing on her yesterday, before we begin doing clearings on everybody else, because we always do clearings on the medium first, she literally was holding pain from everybody else around her. Like she was pulling in pain from other people and holding it among herself. And so this is what we do as a collective. When we see other people suffering, we're like, here, let me take some of that for you. So just be aware, that these events that occur, we feel it deeply on a collective level. And so it's also part of that observe, don't absorb thing. So try to, I wouldn't even say indifferent. Indifferent isn't really the right word for it. Try and stay compassionate and yet isolate yourself energetically so you are not being brought down in vibration. Because it is so hard to be like focus on the solutions rather than the problems. Because so many of us are dealing with things that are so intense right now, just on a personal level. And then you have all the collective stuff compiling it. So yeah, many of us are actually even going to manifest illness physically because we are feeling it so deeply. So just be aware that self-care is the most important thing right now. Take care of yourselves. Make sure you're getting extra rest. Make sure that you're eating healthy. Make sure that you're hydrating yourself. Nadine had a question. Hi, Nadine. Nice to see you, love. With generational contracts, does the soul accept those contracts when choosing the family to be born into? I feel like it's like a catch-22 situation, right? Because I don't think, right? So hold on, let me word this correctly because I'm actually processing a couple cases that kind of, all right. So there were some cases where I saw, and I've told you guys about this before, where there was one person that had 14 ancestral contracts, right? Where they chose that, where they were like, all right, guys, give me all the bags. I'm going to have a clearing at some point in this lifetime. And when I do, I'm going to clear all of this family karma. So just give me all the bags, right? So they knew, ironically, before they were born, that, I don't know, 40 years later, I would be sitting down to do the clearing and they would have the opportunity to have all of this cleared. So they carried all those contracts, 14 different contracts from their ancestral lines as baggage for the first, I don't know, like I said, 30, 40 years of their life until it came to the point where they were able to clear it. And that is one of the cases that blew my mind the most because, I mean, if you think about it, everything is kind of in alignment already in order for that to occur. In order for 40 years ago, for you to know that those contracts were going to have the opportunity to be cleared, you would also have to know that I would be clearing them. So it's like one of those weird, it's like a divine appointment, as we talk about before. So, sometimes this is the case where many of us are like, all right, guys, I've got this. I'm going to deal with all of this for you because you've been struggling with this for so long. Let me deal with it this time. I'll just take it all on myself, right? So some of us, especially the black sheep of the family, some of us, that is exactly what we did because we chose a family that would be the best opportunity for us to conduct the missions that we came down here to do, right? So sometimes we choose families that are starseed families. Sometimes we choose people that are, more enlightened because they're going to be the ones that are helping us through that, growth period. And other times the pickings are fucking slim. Okay. That is the truth. Sometimes the pickings are very slim, especially for those of you who are star seeds, right? Because if you think about it, as an earth seed, you've had thousands of incarnations to get to know the other people that live here, right? So you're not, it's like, you know what it feels like? It feels almost like you're coming into a new school when you're in your senior year. All right. It's the best analogy that just popped into my head, right? Because if you know all the students from kindergarten, you have a rapport. You know everybody. You've had situations with them for lifetime. So you have an understanding of the people that you're incarnating with. So when you are incarnating with a deeply connected soul family, you're going to be the odd man out if you're the new guy. It's like coming in the senior year of high school and trying to be best friends with all the people that have known each other since kindergarten. It's not easy to compete with that. They know each other a lot better than they would know you. Even though they were happy to bring you in, they're like, oh, yeah, this soul can come in. Why not? And you know what's really funny? I'm going to tell you guys something really, really cute as I'm talking about this, just because it popped into mind. So yesterday, my mom texted me and she's like, can you check your sister? She's really not feeling well. My sister has been sick for a couple weeks. So Katie and I checked on her. We just wanted to tune in and make sure that my sister's doing okay. And my sister is pregnant. I did not mention this to Katie. Well, next thing you know, Katie's like, oh, you have a nephew. I was like, yeah, I know. She goes, no, you have a new nephew. I was like, yeah, I do. He's coming. He's going to be here in a few months. And she's like, he's here. He wants to say hi. And I was like, oh my God, really? And she's like, yeah, he's following your sister around. And as I tune into your sister, I can see him. And I was like, oh, really? She goes, yeah, he says his name is Leo. And I was like, he has a name? And she goes, yeah, he's in a pod. And I was like, oh my God, you're kidding. She's like, no, he's in a pod. He's directly talking to you right now from the pod. And I was like, you're kidding. She goes, no. He's saying he's so excited to meet you. And I started crying, guys. I was like, oh my God. She's like, no, he's really excited to meet you. In fact, he chose to be into this family. You're going to be like this. You're going to be two peas in a pod, you and him. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, where is he from? And they said, Avalon. And I was like, he's from Avalon? So apparently there's starseeds coming all the way from our original planet, you guys. He's in a pod on Avalon. How exciting, right? That's where original humans are from. That's where we originally came from as Lyrians. So I was like, what? Are you kidding me? So I also asked, I was like, can you tell me about my niece and nephew? And she says, yeah, your oldest nephew, he actually had a past life in Andromeda. He's actually he's very good at math and technical stuff. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And she goes, yeah, and your other niece, she's definitely from Sirius. So yeah, I'm like, wow, my sister, who is the most stubborn earth seed ever, has 3 starseed babies now, including a pod baby. So I laughed at that so hard. I was like, wow, I guess they're just taking any opportunity they can. So even though my sister is not at all, she thinks I'm a complete crackpot, just for the record. Like, my sister thinks that all of this is bullshit. She doesn't believe in a single word of any of the things I talk about. So I will not be telling her any of this. But at the same time, it was so beautiful. Like, I started crying. I was like, oh my God, to be able to connect with my new nephew before he's even incarnated. I mean, we have the coolest job ever. We really do. We are so blessed. And the fact that his name is Leo, I was like, oh, that's Well, I wonder, they don't even know what they're going to call him in this lifetime yet. So I'm going to drop that name and see if they like it. I'm like, maybe you like the name Leo. But you know what's funny? His due date is on my birthday. They're planning on having a C-section on my birthday. So I'm like, yay. So yeah, it totally made my whole week hearing that yesterday. I was like, oh. So yeah, she's like, well, he's not going to remember having this conversation with you now. And I'm like, that's fine. I'll remember. But yeah, she's like, he's so sweet, Laura. He's so excited to meet you. So it was really lovely that I actually got to have a conversation with my nephew before he was even born. So anyway, it's gonna make me cry now just thinking about it. So yeah, we do actually have all of these things planned before we even incarnate. We choose our families completely. In fact, that's what Leo is doing right now. He's following my sister around, just watching what she's doing. You attend your own baby shower. How cute is that? That you get to see your own baby shower. I just love that. But they did say, like, he's coming and going. She's like, he's not like in the womb or anything. He's actually watching from outside the womb. So I was like, oh, okay, because I don't really blame him. I don't know if I'd want to be sitting in a womb for 10 months either. So yeah, isn't it beautiful? This is not the first time we've tuned into somebody, for the record. There's a couple times where we have tuned into somebody to do a clearing, and they actually had their future children following them around, watching them. In fact, there was this one case, it was crazy. Like, there was this one guy that I think it was his mom that booked a clearing for him because he was dealing with some really heavy stuff in his life. And when I went to check him, I couldn't find him. He was completely cloaked. So there was like an entity that was cloaking him. But you know what we could find? We could find his unborn child following him around. Like, that's how we actually located him, was we were able to find the energy signature of his unborn child, which led to us finding him because he was cloaked. Like, I know it sounds completely nuts, but this is why I say, like, the universe is more interesting than we give it credit for. So just an exciting little thing that I thought I would share with you guys today. Any questions? Anybody want to talk about anything today in general? Just reading through. I missed a lot of comments there. There was a bunch of stuff popping up. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Thank you. One person had a question. I have a question. Are the contracts you were ultimately talking about not a human concept to our limiting beliefs? Well, I mean, there is a reason we call them contracts. You know what a contract is, right? This is an agreement between two beings. Usually, you know, we understand an agreement is a contract between, you know, two people, right? They don't have to be people. You can have a contract with an animal. You can have a contract with a tree. You can have a contract with an entity. You can have a contract, obviously, with yourself, I learned today or yesterday when we were doing those clearings. So, yeah, you can have a contract with all kinds of things. You can have a contract with a building. Yeah, you can have contracts with all kinds of shit. Do you have any insights of Joshua Tree? It popped into my head this week because I saw a lone tree in a field on a road, and I drive every day and never noticed. Interesting. Maybe you're in a different timeline now, Jessica. Whenever you notice something, you're like, that was not there last week. I swear that wasn't there. You might be in a new timeline. You'd be surprised. The veil between timelines is getting crazy thin, which is why there's more of those TikTok videos, glitch in the matrix things than I have seen ever before. Like, I'm always watching for matrix glitch videos because I love when people are talking about like their confusion between things. Like that one lady the other day that was like talking about her earrings and how her daughter wears hoop earrings, and then she was looking at her daughter's ear and was like, where are your hoops? You always have them in. And she's like, oh my God, my hoops are gone. And they tear the whole house apart looking for these hoop earrings, only to look 30 minutes later and they're back in her ears. And they were like, we literally touched your ears and they weren't there. And then we go around the house searching for them. And then we come back and they're in your ears. And it was really funny because they were just like, what the hell? Right? So some of those videos, they make me laugh so hard because, yeah, the only way you can explain those things is if it's obviously some kind of a timeline glitch or some kind of a some weird deja vu. Exactly. So there's all kinds of things that you're going to start noticing get really weird. You might notice that new things are popping up. You might notice that things are disappearing. You might notice that you have a different memory to somebody else. All kinds of things. I don't really know much about Joshua Tree, though, to be honest. To answer to the rest of your question, I have never been there. So if anybody knows anything about Joshua Tree, feel free to answer. So the soul only enters the body when mama gives birth. Technically, the soul can come and go as they please. So if they want to be in the womb, they can be in the womb. But in most cases, they prefer to watch externally. They're following you around. Literally, like a little orb follows you around. That's the baby. Yep. And they do. So when you are in that pre-birth stage, right, when your body is growing, your silver cord, and this is something they even validated yesterday as I was talking about this, they said your silver cord is not tethered to your physical body yet. Your physical body tethers that cord the minute you take your first breath, right? I shouldn't even say it tethers at the first breath because it starts to anchor itself on the first breath. It takes 2 full years for that silver cord to fully anchor into the body 100%. So that silver cord is your life force cord. That is the cord that tethers your physical body to your astral body, right? And so, yeah, at a certain few months gestation, as a few people do, they can choose to come in early. So sometimes you will notice that there is a lot more activity at certain times than others. Sometimes the baby's very quiet. Sometimes the body is just on autopilot. Like sometimes they're down there kicking without even being in there. They're out following you around and the body is still kicking because the body is doing autopilot stuff. And it's funny. My sister has the first 2 pregnancies, she wasn't, that nauseous, but this one, she's extremely nauseous, like to the point where she's like, this is the worst nausea I've ever experienced in my life. And the funny thing is, I had the exact same thing with Aiden. I was sick from the moment he was gestated till the moment he came out. I was sick. 40 weeks of sickness. I'm not even kidding. Like, it was the most sick I've ever been, which is one of the reasons why I will never do it again. I have no intentions of ever having another child because I was that sick. But you know what's funny is I think that it's because so with star seeds that are in pods, right? For those of you who are unaware of what I'm talking about, there's a loophole for star seeds where they come in through a pod, right? Where instead of giving up their other body, they can go into a pod and reroute their consciousness to an NPC body or to a body down here on Earth that's not being used. So if you make a contract with somebody, if you make an agreement, you can actually plan to come into an NPC body and have a full life as a starseed. And when you die, you wake up in the pod. And the memories that you have from your recent incarnation will be kind of like a dream memory, like you're not going to forget what you experience as a human. You're going to have it as kind of like what you would have. I love what Karen says. It's like having a dual passport. Exactly. So many people that come in this way, a lot of them are Arcturians. If you're an Arcturian starseed, some of you are veterans. There are some Arcturian veterans that have been here a very long time, but most of the Arcturians are actually in pods. So if you find out that you're, an Arcturian, chances are you are one of those. A lot of others, like the Tegetans and the Andromedans, and now apparently even people from Avalon are coming in this way through these pods. And the Cabal hates it, for the record. Like, they consider it cheating, which makes me laugh even more, considering they think it's cheating. But once you're in, you're in. You forget that you were obviously this other person. And it's funny, my own son, I've checked about this, because one day I was asking about another person. I said, are they in a pod? And they were like, the guides were like, yeah, they're in a pod. And I was like, that's cool. Am I in a pod? They're like, no, Laura, you're not in a pod. I was like, yeah, darn. And they were like, well, you're not, but Aiden is. And I was like, oh, no way. So that's what led to me finding out Aiden was in a pod. And then I spoke with like 4 other mediums who validated it. In fact, one of them even told me his name. Adriana was able to find out Aiden's other name. Just like Leo has that other name. Now Aiden had another name, and we jokingly so Aiden's other name is Marco in his pod. So now we've been jokingly saying like Marco Polo, like to mess with him a little bit, but he thinks it's so funny. But he's like very open about these things. He's aware that this is his first time here on Earth, and he's making the most of it, to put it lightly. So for those of you who are in those pods, you'll start to notice like you may think that Earth is a bit weirder than most other people. Because this is your first time here. You haven't really had many of these people, they haven't had other incarnations here. So you haven't really had the development of other relationships or experiences and things on a deeper Earth level, right? So it almost feels like we have less support when we come here sometimes, because we don't really know as many people. We're like I said, like the new person coming in high school on their senior year. It's like everybody has already had all these defined relationships, and you're just starting to develop new relationships. So this is one of the reasons why, like us starseeds, we have a very difficult time down here, especially because many of you have such high vibration, and then you come here and you're just like, oh my God, what is this place? It's a very intense place. Lynn says, we thought my starseed niece was autistic when she was 2 or 3. Now I'm wondering if she was just processing this world. We humans love labels, don't we? We're like, okay, this thing is different. Give it a label. No. But this is the thing. Every single one of us are unique. Every single one of us. Every earth seed, star seed, you name it. We are all unique for a reason. You've had millions of years of soul developments in many cases. So all of the things you've been doing over those lifetimes. You know what else is really funny? Like the other day, somebody asked a comment. I think it was Rob asked a really interesting question about genders and, why we choose a specific gender, for example, right? I found out thanks to Adriana, when Adriana checked my Akashic record, that 70% of my incarnations have been male. Apparently, I just like being a man. Maybe I just realized that men have it easier. I don't know. But I have noticed, that I've had a lot more masculine features my whole life. I've been a tomboy my whole life. And so it does make you wonder, like, how much of our past do we actually still have inherent in this lifetime? A lot of it. Most of it. We just aren't even aware of it affecting us subconsciously. So for those of you who are like, maybe, I'm a bit more masculine. Well, maybe you had more male incarnations, and there's nothing wrong with that. Now I'm owning being a woman, and I'm, sometimes it's tough. I'm like, man, it would be nicer to be a man sometimes. And sometimes I'm like, oh man, it's so nice to be a woman. So it's funny how, we're always constantly switching. But what about the Arcturian starseeds? Because if you think about it, Arcturians, the ones that have been, Arcturians live over 10,000 years, just to give you a perspective. The Arcturians don't have a gender. So they are androgynous. In fact, they are asexual. They reproduce themselves. They just clone themselves and then swap bodies with their new clone. So an Arcturian that comes here in a pod is going to be very confused, trying to choose just one gender, right? So when they come in here, being an androgynous being that has had, could be even 50,000 years of being androgynous, coming here to Earth to choose one gender, and they're just like, I don't know what to do. Well, this is why so many people are also kind of confused about certain things. I'm not saying that's for every circumstance, but many circumstances it is. In fact, I've even done clearings on people that have had that circumstance, where they could not decide which gender they felt like most. And then we find out they're Arcturian and they don't even have a gender in their other body. So there's a lot of things that are underlying in our subconscious that we have absolutely no idea is why we are the way we are. Especially when there's starseeds and off-world history involved. A lot of you guys are Arcturian starseeds. See, I'm not surprised. Arcturians are amazing, just for the record. They are phenomenal. I have one of my mediums is Constantine, I believe, is Arcturian. In fact, He doesn't admit it, but he won't deny it either. My intuition is spot on though. I know. Sometimes they don't want to tell you who they are, but I know. So yes, I'm almost 100% convinced that Constantine, if you guys have seen the Lost Soul Rescues I do, that he is Arcturian. And when he's doing clearings, you'd be amazed. Like sometimes the things that they can do are so different to one of the discarnate guides. So, like one of Katie's guides, for example, they're discarnate guides. They used to be alive and now they're not. Katie is a very powerful earth seed. And even though she does have connections to some of these galactic guides because she has a very high vibration, most of her guides are discarnate. And when you have a discarnate guide going in, they see things very differently than one of the galactic guides would see things. And so this is one of the reasons why, it's nice to have. It's almost like the discarnate guides are the best for removing demonics, and then the galactic guides are the best ones for removing the ETs. It's almost like they know each other better, Like it's more effective in certain ways. So that's why sometimes if you'll notice, if I do a clearing on you and we found a level 3 on you, and I'm like, all right, I'll go back and check in a few days to make sure it's gone. I'll go back with a galactic guide usually, because then I know that the galactics are actually checking for any weird technology and other stuff that could be in there, because sometimes that can be missed. Because as I've told you guys many times, none of these guides are omniscient. None of them have the power of everything. They can't see everything. They are really, in most cases, they're just people with opinions just like us. So even though they may be obviously very advanced people with 10,000 years of experience under their belt, if not more. I had a dream where I escaped my pod on a ship but was caught and took back 2 different types of aliens on the ship. One seemed friendly, the other not. I wonder if that's actually a dream, Catherine. There's a lot of people that actually end up tuning into past life memories without even being aware of it. In fact, that's actually a common question for people that are booking a detailed clearing with me. Because with the detailed clearing, it's like half clearing, half mediumship. So you can ask important questions. And that's one of the most common things that people will do is they'll ask about a certain dream they've had and want us to validate whether the dream was real. And in 99.9% of the cases so far, yep, they were all real. Past life stuff mostly. One time was even future life. One person tapped into a future version of themselves. And I was like, wow, that's cool. So yeah. It's funny. Hunter then says, I believe we also have one guy that is ourself from the future. There you go, Hunter. There you go. You're reading my mind. And that is very true. Yep. And this is also true for walk-ins. There are people that will come in as a walk-in where your future self will come in. It's like this version of you is like, nah, fuck this. I'm done. And then the future version's like, all right, I got more experience. I'll come in and take over. So sometimes a walk-in, when somebody leaves and another soul comes in, it's actually a more advanced version of you that comes in, which is interesting enough. So that's another question that people like to ask for the detailed clearing is, am I a walk-in? Because some of you have gone through such intense spiritual awakenings. Somebody's touching my forehead. Thank you. That's distracting. Charlie. Whenever you have, see what I mean? You made me lose my train of thought. Literally, you just went like this on my forehead. What? Made me lose my train of thought. What was I saying? Damn it. It's distracting when you do that. Anyway, sorry. I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? It's one of those days. I'm glad it's Friday. Future cars. Yes, future stuff. So yes. Oh yeah, walk-ins, future. So yeah, there's other versions of you from the future that can come in if they feel that you're kind of flunking, so to speak. Or at least if you're giving up, then they're like, all right, we can have you come in. So any other questions about walk-ins or contracts or any of the things that I've discussed today, feel free to ask. Exactly, Michelle. It's like we sit in the space bar. Yeah. But you know what's funny? I was doing clearings the other day. I was doing practice cases in class with Katie, and there was another, I was practicing as a medium, right? There was another facilitator and another medium that were doing the practice cases. And so I was able to sit in as a medium, which is a lot of fun. I love doing that, by the way, where I get to sit in and practice being, a medium in these cases. And when this occurred, I felt this weird energy. It almost felt like tingles. Like somebody was tingling the back of my head. Like the whole back of my head just started going like, and I was like, whoa, what is that? And then I started to feel really tight. Like my muscles were feeling really tight. And I started stretching. I'm like doing this. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, why do I feel so weird? And I said something to Katie, and I'm like, what is this? Like, why do I feel weird? She's like, Charlie's trying to merge with you. He's trying to come in so you can trance. I was like, oh, well, it'd be nice if you had told me what was happening. I'm like, why do I just feel weird all of a sudden? It did. It felt like I had tingles, like all over my body all of a sudden, especially over the back of my head and my neck. So apparently I'm getting ready for trance mediumship. So maybe you guys will be able to speak to Charlie someday and you can give him shit for poking me so much. Charlie should ask first. Well, this is the thing about the guides, right? Is that if you are saying things like, yeah, I'm ready, they're like, okay, she's ready. Coming in. You don't really know what you're ready for, right? You're just like, I'm ready for whatever. They're like, all right, she's ready. So that's one of those things. Like he knows he has permission. If he does want to, I give Charlie permission. Yes. But I want to make sure that I know what's happening when it's happening. That makes sense. So that way I'm not wondering like, what the fuck is that? What is happening? So anyway, Brenda says, does a walk-in come in with no memory of that person's body? My mom died in hospital and doing Reiki and deep acupressure on her feet. She returned but didn't know us. She talks about being a little light flying around on the other side. Okay. So whenever somebody dies, it is possible that original soul left and another soul came in. Whether or not they had an agreement to do that, or if it was an opportunist, I have no idea. We would have to check the records. Because you could have a contract with the being that takes the body, or they could just snatch it. To be completely directly honest with you guys, body snatchers are a thing. I'm not saying this is the case. And obviously, if it's a nice spirit, and if the person who's being kind, they may not remember you. But no, in many cases, the walk-ins will remember things. They have access to your brain. Your brain is your storage unit. That is your hard drive, right? So they will have access to your memories. However, their behaviors will still be different because they have a lot more memories, not just your incarnation's memories. They still have all that personality from thousands of other lifetimes. So those personalities will start to come out and you're going to notice they're a completely different person. But sometimes, they even do have amnesia where they come in. And in the most extreme cases, such as comas, where people go into a coma and they come out as a walk-in, the original soul leaves and a new soul comes in, then yes, sometimes, especially if there was a big bump on the noggin, sometimes there won't be any ability to access prior memory. And if that is the case, then they will have amnesia. Just to answer that question. Anything the guide said we could prepare for the celestial stuff happening this month? They basically just say the same thing they've been saying for months. Keep up with your psychic protection, keep up with your grounding, keep up with your spiritual cleansing, spiritual hygiene. Make sure that you're doing all your visualizations. Make sure that you're asking your guides for help. Make sure that you're eating well. Make sure you're keeping hydrated. Make sure that you're going out in nature. It's a long list of homework, but all of those things are linked to you keeping a healthy equilibrium during all this crazy time. So the more time you spend every morning, like in a perfect day, right, where you have the time to do all of this in the morning when you wake up, you say your cleansing ritual, you cleanse whatever, you close portals, you clear energy from yourself, whatever you picked up while you were sleeping. Then you do your psychic protection visualizations. You put yourself in the golden egg. You call in your guides. You can call in the angels to look after you for the day. You can visualize a giant obsidian bubble around yourself or a golden pyramid, whatever works. Then if you want to bring in the good energies, you can go downstairs and light yourself some, some Palo Santo. You can cleanse the space with sage, but sage is more extreme, just for the record. Like I use sage every single day, but that is because I'm dealing with really intense energies. Sage does not have to be used daily for everybody that's got a normal life. Okay. Rosemary, lavender, cedar, there's all kinds of other sages or smudges, I should say, that work really well for cleansing the space that aren't as harsh as sage. Um, Sometimes you'll notice when you're trying to cleanse a house with sage that the people in the house start freaking out because they're like, I can't stand the smell. That is because sage is probably one of the most intense cleansing of this whole area. You cleanse your entire house with sage. It is very, very strong. So if your family freaks out and starts running away and crying because they can't stand the smell, usually it is either they could actually have an allergy to it. If they do, then it's best to use a diffuser. To bring in essential oils and that sort of thing. You can also, like I said, try different ones to see one that is not as harsh for other people. But yeah, you definitely want to cleanse your house at least to some small degree on a daily basis, because you never really know what's coming in. It doesn't have to be sage every day, but at least some Palo Santo or some rose or some kind of nice incense would be really good to kind of raise the vibe of the space. But like I said, if you don't like to burn things, you could always use essential oils or diffuser. You can get a humidifier that has essential oils in it. In fact, I saw a really cool one the other day that looked like it was like blasting like cannons of vapor around the room, and it looked like little ringlets. It makes like little circles of moisture around the air. It looked really cool. There's all kinds of clever ways that you can cleanse your space. And then make sure that you do this before bed as well, okay? Because some of you spend your days at home, right? You're in your house most of the day and you're not really seeing the general public. And on those days, you're generally fine as long as you're not really watching the news or watching anything too upsetting. But then at nighttime, you're traveling. A lot of people travel at night. And when they do, they are unaware of this. Many of you aren't even aware that you're astral projecting at night. And when that occurs, portals are left open. So that's why every morning you want to close portals. You just set intention. You can visualize the portals in your mind's eye and then just close them like this, counterclockwise circle, closes portals. Whoop. Closes portals, right? You can do this on mirrors. I had a person yesterday who had a lot of portals in their house. There were like 10 portals in their house, right? So the guides gave a lot of advice about closing portals. Never have mirrors facing each other. When you have a mirror that is in your bedroom, make sure it is covered whenever you are sleeping. Do not let yourself be covered in a mirror while you're sleeping. Mirrors are doorways, okay? Make sure that when you have it, if you have a TV that you don't often use, a TV is also a black mirror, okay? Your phone is a black mirror. Black mirrors are used for occult divination, right? So you have a black mirror that is your phone. You have a black mirror that is your TV. Okay, those black mirrors are used for divination. And even though it is turned on and it has light emitting through it whenever you're using it, when it's turned off, it becomes a mirror. So cover your TVs, even just to take a cloth and cover your TVs. What else? What was the other thing they said about portals? Electronics, routers. That's the most common place that we find portals, is in your electronics. So it's really good to get some kind of shungite. I have shungite like this that I keep. I keep this on top of my Xbox. I keep this on top of my router. This is a Black Lotus I made that is half shungite, half iron that I put in resin, and there's some copper in there. I've been talking about this quite a little bit. I have started making these. I'm going to start sending these out as gifts. In fact, Daniel Jackson's getting one. I've got a couple that I'm making right now so I can send out my packages. So when you receive these in the mail, for those of you who are, wonderful helpers for me, I'm sending a bunch of these out. They go on top of your router. And make sure that you smudge them and cleanse them regularly, okay? Because after about 3 days, they're already, they've gone dead, so to speak. So make sure you put it either in sunlight or on selenite, or you can smudge it, or you can put it in salt, or you can put it in dirt. But you want to cleanse those things regularly, at least every 3 days. So it is nice to have more than one. That's why I have things like this I've been making. I made this in a cupcake mold, right? Just a normal cupcake mold. It's organite. So the bottom, I put like a flower of life, as you can see. And then I put some rose quartz in there. There's selenite at the top. So I put at the very bottom, I put the selenite, then I put a layer of rose quartz. And then the bottom is that same mix that I did for the Black Lotus. This is half iron and half shungite. So you powder that up and you mix it with resin, and then you've got that. So this is also sitting on top of there. So when my Lotus is charging, so to speak. I put this on top instead. So you swap them out. Small soap molds work really well as too. Yes, they do. So these are the kind of things you want to keep around your electronics, just for the record. Okay. And these are so easy to make, you guys. Like these, it's about $20 worth of stuff to make these. Like I said, the stickers are about $1 each. These are metal stickers, for the record. And then, like I said, you want to make sure there's some selenite in there. You see the selenite that I put on top of the sticker. And then I do the rose quartz. And then sometimes you can't really see it, but I put gold in there. And then you can't see it either in there, but there's a, what are they called? Oh my God. It's a terminated quartz. There it is. Where is it? I had a whole bunch of them here. So if you take a terminated quartz and you wrap it in copper, and then you put that in the middle. So you can't really see it, but there's a quartz in the very middle, and there's copper wrapped around the quartz. So if you notice there's bumps here too, this whole thing that I filled in with shungite and copper, copper, and iron was also mixed with, like, as you can tell, that these little copper balls. You see those little round things? I use copper balls, little copper spheres in the bottom. So as you can see, there's little flecks. That's why I put more copper in there. For it to be legit orgonite that was made for, it needs to be a bit more copper. So this isn't exactly 100% what many people would deem orgonite, because it needs to be like a 50-50 ratio of copper. But like I said, they still change the vibration immensely. In fact, I've asked my guides how effective these are, and they said they're extremely effective. But they're only effective if they're well charged. So that is why I put the selenite in there. That does help to keep it charged. But it does help if you have something like I do here, where it's like a selenite bowl. Right, I put all my jewelry and stuff in there, and then you just put it in there and charge it that way. You can also use sound to cleanse your crystals. Thank you, Elaine. I always forget that. I always forget about sound. So you can I have a singing bowl right here, right? So you take a crystal, or even take something like this. In fact, I'll get this one because it's bigger. All right, this is my big behemoth that I keep next to my router. This guy gets cleansed almost every single day because of how much juju comes through my Wi-Fi. So in order to do that, you just take your singing bowl, and you hold it, and you just place it around it. And sometimes you even give singing bowls that are big enough for you, like one of the ones in the foot where you can whack it, and then this one's a bit weird. This is not my best singing bowl. But as you can see, you can feel the vibration actually coming through your hand as you're doing it. And those vibrations will emit and go into the crystal and cleanse the crystal. You can also use tinctures or tuning forks or all kinds of other instruments, sound instruments. So, any other questions for today? Anybody going through something they want a little insight into before we have a chaotic weekend? Remember, it's a full moon, isn't it, this weekend? Hold on. When is that full moon coming through? Ooh, nearly knocked over my crystal. Really quick, let's check it out. Let's see what's going on. I have an app on my phone that it's called Moon X. Looks like that. Moon X. It's my favorite app for these sort of things. Moon X is amazing. So the full moon is going to be on January 13th. So that will be the 11th lunar day in Gemini. Interesting. So I'm just seeing if there's anything about the moon of the week. When's the full moon going to be? Come on. Okay, so 3 days and 6 hours left until the full moon. So that'll be Monday, actually. So yeah, we'll see how the energies are on Monday. Because yeah, things are going to intensify over the weekend because that 111 portal, just for the record. Like the guides had said. Katerina says, do you carry ancestral karma when you are born into a family for the first time? Yeah. You can choose to negate it, I believe, in some cases, but in most cases, you end up getting what everybody else does. Because, yeah, unfortunately, it's like, it's, you know, like when you get your genetics, you're just like, well, I got my dad's ears, got my mom's eyes. Wish I had my mom's ears and my dad's eyes, you know, that kind of thing. You're like, I wish I had swapped, you know, choose things, move things around. But this is what I mean. Like sometimes when you were born into a specific family, yeah, you end up getting stuck with a lot of their baggage without meaning to. Jordan had a question. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that one. I'm going to try one more time to get my question in. Can we talk about discernment for a moment? I saw a post that saw when someone offers to pay you and you refuse, it usually blocks your abundance. But how do you know if you are entering into a karmic contract? I have some concerns with my neighbor giving us a car, as I was just talking last night about whether he has ulterior motives or if accepting the car doesn't put us into a karmic contract. Then I came on the podcast and it got cut off, Jordan. I can't see the rest. Can you post the rest of that question? So I can't see anything after. Okay, so ironically, I was literally talking about this the other day. Yes, when you take something from someone else, you are in a way exchanging energy with them. And if there is an ulterior motive, that resonance is contained within the elements of what you've taken, right? So I did mention not too long ago about how there was this one case. She went for a past life regression. She wanted to know why she had a car accident. She had a very bad car accident. Her car was completely destroyed, but she was fine. She walked away without a scratch. So she wanted to know, you know, from her guides, her higher self, why did that accident happen? And it turns out they told her the reason why was because the car that she was driving was from her ex. Her ex-husband purchased the car. And he was a bit of an abuser and a narcissist and these things. And so she left him and she got the car in the divorce, but she was still energetically beheld to him. She was still energetically tied to him. And there were cords because of it, right? And if it's a loving relationship, if it's a relationship that is built on mutual respect and adoration, you know, it's like a best friend, right? Then obviously the cord, it's going to be well balanced. It's not going to be a negative cord because, you know, it's like doing a nice gesture for someone you love is a way of deepening the love, if you know what I mean. It's a way of setting cords, yes, but if it's a good cord, that's not a bad thing. It's actually a positive thing to have cords with people that you truly love, people that you have boundaries with, people, because it's like, think of it like those trees. You know how trees, when they are going through a really hard time, the other trees will come and give that tree nutrients. Let's say a tree gets cut down or a tree gets knocked down because of, you know, wind or something. The other trees around it will come in and start to give that tree energy, its life force, its nutrients, so that way that keeps that tree alive, right? Well, when we have those kind of relationships where the cords are well balanced, they can feel when you're down. Those people can feel when you need some extra love and support. So that is what brings them to you. They can feel that need and they come in and they want to support you in whatever way they can, right? But when you have an unhealthy cord with someone, they don't give a shit about your needs. They don't care about the energy exchange. They don't care about the imbalances in the give and take, if you know what I mean. So this is why I say, like, there's going to be people that are wonderful to have cords with, because when you need that person, they're going to be there for you, right? But if you have a cord with someone that is not there for you, that is not a person that truly loves you and is connected to you, then they're just going to be taking. They're going to be taking your energy constantly. They're going to be siphoning energy from you. In fact, there was one person, get this, right? It wasn't even a cord. This one person we cleared had a pipe. That's what the guys described it as. They said, this cord is so thick and they're siphoning so much energy from this person. We don't even call it cord. We're calling it a pipe. There was a pipeline going from one person to another. That is how imbalanced everything was between those two, right? So my point in all of this is that relationships, when you have cords, when you have, let's say that your neighbor and you are best friends, right? And they give you a car. There's nothing wrong with that. If your neighbor and you are close in a relationship and there's nothing, it's like if you have a dynamic that is balanced, then nobody's trying to take something that they shouldn't be trying to take. You know, it's like you have that give and take that's balanced. But when you have a neighbor that gives you a huge gift, right? Like a car, that is a huge gift. There it could be, yeah, that they're just really generous. It could be that they're just very kind and loving and they just feel that this is the right thing to do. And in those circumstances, if their intentions are truly benevolent, if their intentions are honest and authentic and truly based in love, then there's nothing wrong with taking that car. If their intentions were positive and you can feel that their intentions were positive, then that's great. Then there's nothing wrong with accepting that gift. Consider it a gift from the universe and from that person as a deep sign of love and appreciation, right? But if you feel weird about it, right? After you accept a gift, if you feel like there's an imbalance there, if you can't really understand why, if it doesn't make any sense to you as to why that gift was given to you, there's a reason. There's something that is, it's almost like people do try to buy your affection, your attention through gifts. They do that a lot. But other times people try to express how much they deeply love and appreciate you through gifts. So you have to feel out those intentions. Like this morning when I opened that box and I saw this new orgonite that I got from my friend in Australia, it made me almost cry. Like I literally felt so much love and appreciation for this gift. I didn't feel like, oh, I owe them something, even though I'm totally going to make her some orgonite and send her some back because that is so sweet. But still, I don't feel like there's an imbalance there, because if you read the letter, I've helped that person a great deal and they felt this was a token of their appreciation. So things like that, there's nothing wrong with accepting those gifts. It's just when you accept something and you're just like, why the hell would you even do this? It doesn't make any sense. And if they're not giving you a good reason, there you go. But then again, Jordan, there you go, Jordan. I did have on my manifestation list for a new car. So this is what I mean, Jordan. Like it could be either or. So I'm with Charisse. I would just cleanse the car and just make sure that you do something nice for them too. Even if it's just small gestures, like, I don't know, mowing their lawn or just spending some time with them, inviting them over for dinner, just showing appreciation. But remember to set boundaries. Just remember to make sure that people are not trying to buy you with those gifts. It's one thing to honor someone with a gift. It's another thing entirely to try and buy their favor with a gift. So you can feel those. Jordan, you are so in tune energetically. You can feel intention. You absolutely can. So meditate on this. Meditate on it and ask the universe whether this was something that you deserved, which, by the way, I totally do think you deserved it 100%. You've been through a hell of a lot. The universe owes you a lot more gifts, in my opinion, Jordan, just for the record. The universe should be making it rain around you at all times for what you've been through, Jordan. Okay, so you have a lot of good karma for being a good person. So keep aware that good karma leads to good things happening as well. So sometimes when you are trying to manifest something and you're like, oh my God, I just got something like 10,000 times better than what I was expecting, that might just be the universe going mwah to you. Okay. So I like Chantel's idea. Bake him some muffins, do something nice, just show appreciation, but don't show like they bought you, if you know what I mean. Don't feel like you owe them your next born kind of situation just because they bought you something really nice. What tree should I plant? That's a good question, Daniel. I would go with an endemic one. Maybe something that is, I don't know. I'm impartial to oaks personally. I just love oaks. Oaks are my favorite tree. Oaks and willows, but it depends on the area. What kind of tree are you? I like willows. I think I'm willow. As the tree astrology, I think I'm willow. Actually, it might even be ash. Hold on a second. Now I have to look. I don't remember. Do you guys know that you have a tree astrology? Do you guys know that every zodiac sign actually has a tree? It's Celtic astrology, I believe, right? Tree astrology. So my tree is I'll post this after the podcast just now so you guys can see. Where's mine? July. Oh, I'm on a cusp. Oh, interesting. Okay, so the willow is from April 15th through May 12th. And my birthday is May 13th. So apparently, according to this, it ends the 12th for willow, and hawthorn is from May 13th to June 9th. I don't even know what a hawthorn is. I need to look into that. All these other trees, oak, holly, hazel, vine, ivy, reed, rowan, ash, alder, birch. So you guys can see, I'll share this on the page in a minute, and you guys can see what Celtic tree you would be in astrology. So the Celtic zodiac is really interesting for those of you who haven't even heard of it before. Connie says that she's an alder. Nice. Azrael's hawthorn. Very cool. Weeping willows are my favorite tree. I love weeping willows. Yep, love them. Although lilacs are kind of a tree, if you think about it. Lilacs, I guess they're a bush, but that would be my favorite. I had a question, a few comments above. Sorry, I missed it, Christina. Does a walk-in bring their memories from the life they had just left? No. They're using your brain. So they're using whatever brain is available to them. Your brain is the storage device. It's like your hard drive. So they use the brain as their access for memories. So if there's been a big bump on the head, that makes it difficult for them to access the memory. So that is why so many of them have those kind of issues where they have like spotty memory or no memory. They don't bring their memories, but they do bring their personality, because your personality is from your subconscious. You don't know why you are the way you are. You just are the way you are. And that's because you've had thousands of incarnations all developing a subconscious personality. So that personality is going to come out. If you've got a new soul in there, that new personality is going to come out regardless of whether or not they had memories. They're just going to start changing. You're going to start noticing like things just start being different for that person. Will they remember the ones they knew in that life, or will they start fresh? So keep in mind that when somebody comes in and takes a new body, it's almost the best analogy I could think of it. Like, think of your body as a house, right? So if you move into the house and the house is fully empty, you get to design that house exactly the way that you want it, right? So you're from the get-go, when you first get your house as a new incarnation, you start filling the house with whatever it is that's your vibe. It's your things, the things that you love from previous incarnations. So you're going to start, decorating your body in a certain way, your mind, your thoughts, all of those things are going to be like you, a result of you and your latent personality, right? But then when that original soul leaves, it's almost like a person who is in the house has died, right? So if that person has died and they leave and a new soul comes in, think of it as like a new person moving into a house where all of the belongings of the previous person are still there. Don't you think that's a bit awkward, right? To move into someone else's house where all of their family pictures are on the wall, their clothes are in the closet, their food is in the cupboards, like all of the things that they loved and liked are in the house, but there's nothing really you in the house yet, right? So sometimes it's easier for amnesia to occur because then you don't have all the stuff in the house. It's like somebody's cleaned out the house for you when you're getting ready to move in. Does that make sense? So sometimes not having the memories makes it easier for you because you're not moving into someone else's area that's full of their stuff, so to speak. But then when, it takes time. If you do actually end up making that decision, you have to get used to being this new person. It's like you assume their identity. So in a way, it's kind of like you're doing identity theft in a way. And so, it's like, it's a transition period. It's a huge thing, which is why a lot of souls don't really want to do it. They would rather start out from scratch as a new soul. But other times they're like, man, what a beautiful house. What a waste it would be if this house were to fall apart, so to speak. So if you've got a beautiful house and the person who's living in that house doesn't want it anymore because they can't handle the responsibility of owning the house, so to speak, so that original person moves out. And then there are other people, they're very, very happy to come in and take over and say, you know what, I can do some really wonderful things with this house. I could really help some people with this house. I could do a lot of really good in this world with this house. So there are a lot of spirits that feel that way, and they're happy to come in and use that body as a second chance, so to speak. And that way they don't have to go the whole 20 years of waiting and all these things, you know. So think about it. That's a good point, Miss Lucy. Moving into a bigger shell. It's like you're a hermit crab. You're like, this house is no longer serving me, so I'm going to go move into a bigger one. So, Amy says there are subtitles written before you can speak. Yeah, there's a glitch there. See, glitches in the matrix, you guys. Don't ask me. Everything is already written, right? Literally and figuratively. So anyway, I've been rambling for like an hour and 15 minutes now. Any final questions before we disperse for the weekend? Any other questions? Can you have multiple walk-ins in one body? Well, it depends. Because there are such a thing as dark walk-ins too. Yeah, you can. Yep. If you want to consider it an attachment, yeah. You can have more than, because think about it, right? Entity attachments, they're coming into your house. Especially if they're an imposter soul guide. You basically have a roommate. So this is why we talk about imposters so much. It's one thing when you have an entity. It's almost like an entity is coming and banging on your door, right? And you're like looking out the window and you're like, nah, fuck that guy. I'm not letting him in, right? Sometimes it's like that. And you're like, no, I don't want that. So you send them on their way. But other times you have an imposter guide that will knock on the door and be like, hey, I'm your great friend from blah, blah, blah. And I just want to, can I come in? And you're like, oh, you look friendly. Come on in. And you invite them in. So in that case, then you have two frequencies occupying the same house, so to speak. This is where Tourette's comes in. This is where seizures can come in. This is where all kinds of confusion with schizophrenia can come in, because you have multiple people sharing the same house, so to speak. Anybody ever seen, what is that one movie? Oh my God. I just had it in my head and then it disappeared. The guy with the split personalities. I was literally just about to say the name of the movie. It's kind of a disturbing movie. I'm not going to lie. The one with the name Patricia. I know you guys know what movie I'm talking about. Split. Thank you, Jessica. You read my mind. Yes, Split. If you guys see Split, you'll understand what I'm talking about. That is a whole bunch of earthbounds all sharing one body. Yeah, that is a shitload of earthbounds in that movie. Split is legit, right? If you've seen that movie, that is what it's like when multiple earthbounds are sharing the same body. And that beast that they talked about, that would be the reptilian. That would be the reptilian that's herded all the earthbounds into the same body. So just to use that as an example, yeah, that would be exactly like, so the original soul, the original guy that was traumatized, that ended up having the original body, that would be the person that is kind of left, you know what I mean? And then all these earthbounds come in, and then you have one being that's kind of herded them in there. Yeah. Like I said, that's not a movie for the faint of heart, just for the record. Yeah, Angie says that movie traumatized me for days. I'm not surprised. That is not a movie for the faint of heart. But for those of you who can handle an intense movie, I mean, and you want a deeper understanding of what it's like to have attachments, we'll put it that way. So Cherie says, damn, we really are prime real estate. No joke. We really are. None of you have any clue how valuable your physical body is. You have no idea. This is the greatest gift you have been given in this entire incarnation, just for the record. And I know some of you don't want to hear that right now when you're sick or when you feel like your body is rebelling against you in some ways. But it is. This is a gift that you chose for yourself. Nobody ever forces you to take it. In fact, you have no idea how many beings would take your body in a second if they could. You have no idea. It is one of the most treasured things in the cosmos, that body you have right now. So take good care of it, you guys. You have no idea how much competition is out there and how many beings would love to take it from you. So all of this talk about walk-ins today, I hope it breeds a deeper appreciation for what you've been given as a lifetime, because like I said, there will come to be a point where it's the end and you're going to be sad because, you're like, damn, there's so many things I wish I had done. This is the one thing when I talk to Earthbounds that they say the most, is that I thought I had more time. That is the number one thing that Earthbounds say when we do Lost Soul rescues, is I just thought I had more time. Time on Earth is so short. They always say that. It was so short. It went by like a blink of an eye. It really does, you guys. So just be aware, like, consider yourself more blessed than you could even fathom, because there are trillions of souls out there that don't have one right now, who would love to have a body. So yeah. Jessica says, any Supernatural fans when Cass consumed all the souls from purgatory and they were fighting for control? Supernatural has so much hidden truth in that show. It's insane. Yeah. Supernatural is probably one of the most clued up shows you could watch, just for the record. There's so much truth in that show. It's insane. In fact, if you remember, there's one episode where all the deities came together because they were pissed off at Yahweh because of the whole Armageddon thing. The whole book of Revelation was coming to fruition, and all the gods like Lord Shiva and all these other gods came together because they argued that all it takes is one person to believe in a deity and you manifest that deity. So all of these deities came together to be really pissed off at Yahweh for all the for all the book of Revelation shit that was happening. So it's just funny. Like, I loved that point on Supernatural because that's fucking true. All the deities are real. All of them. If you believe in a deity, you're manifesting them, even if you're the only person who believes in them. Aaron says, that's awesome, but a little unsettling. I know. I feel exactly the same way, Aaron. It's awesome, yet unsettling. Completely. Yep. So if you have a specific deity that you feel drawn to, there's probably a reason for it. I loved Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is my dude. Like, I have loved Lord Shiva pretty much my whole life. And then I found out that I knew him in a past life and we were hunting reptilians together back during the Orion Wars. There is a reason you love who you love. You just don't remember. You don't remember why. So there's a reason that Lord Shiva is my guy, like we have a history. Some of you guys have histories of deities too. I shouldn't even call them deities because really they're not gods. Little g, remember? There's big G and little g. These are all little g's I'm talking about. So American Gods is also like, holy shit. That's even more intense, just for the record. Like, I did watch American Gods because I saw some of the previews and I was like, damn, I need to watch that. And holy shit, that was crazy. I wish they hadn't ended it. So anyway, I've really enjoyed just sitting here rambling with you guys today. This has been a fun conversation. Katarina says, I love Merlin. Merlin is also a real person, just for the record. Merlin pops in all the time. I have connected with Merlin 3 times during clearings. Some of you guys have Merlin with you. So when I've done clearings, I've tuned in and I'm like, do I have permission from the soul guides? And they'll be like, yeah, it's Merlin. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, Merlin is one of their guides. So you'd be astounded. Even one person I did a clearing on had King Leonidas as their soul guide. And I was like, really? King Leonidas? Like the King Leonidas? And they were like, yeah, this guy was his brother. And I was like, are you serious? Yeah, he was King Leonidas' brother. And that's why King Leonidas is now his brother. Is why that's his soul guide. And I was like, shit, no wonder he was sovereign. I went to check that guy. He was sovereign. And it was funny because King Leonidas was like, of course he was. He was like, no, of course he was. Like, yeah. So you'd be surprised how many of you actually have some insane backup in the astral. You're just not aware of it yet. Some of you are very well connected. In fact, like I said, I've told this story a couple times, but there was this one lady, one of my favorite clearings I've ever done. I tuned into this one lady's energy with the guides and they said, oh, Lord Ganesha is with her. And I was like, oh, Lord Ganesha is with her now? And they said, yeah, he is. And I was like, oh my God, Ganesha. Like, I am a big fan of Lord Ganesha as well. Shiva's son. Mwah, love you, Ganesha. Sweetest deity of them all. I'm telling you, if you could, there's no nicer deity that you could call upon than Ganesha. And when Ganesha was connected to this lady, you know, he was protecting her, he was looking after her and guiding her. And when I put that in the report, she didn't mention anything about him in the application for the clearing, right? But when I mentioned that Lord Ganesha was with her, she messaged me back and she's like, Laura, you don't even understand what gift you have done for me. She goes, I pray to Ganesha every day. She goes, I pray to Ganesha every single day. So for that validation that he actually not only heard her prayers, but was with her, was actually in her presence and looking after her, like, you guys, I'm serious. Call upon any help that you feel connected to. So obviously, you know, you want to know who you're connecting to first. You want to get to know them a bit more. Like, there's certain deities like Hecate, obviously, that you may feel connected to, but you need to know how to conduct yourself when you connect with them, because it is very powerful energy to connect with, just for the record. So I know, see, a couple of people are asking about Merlin. Merlin is a very powerful ascended master, just like many other ascended masters that come here. He is a very powerful earth seed, but I'm pretty sure he's even from older than that. Like, I'm pretty sure Earth is not the first place he was. But he's very deeply connected to Gaia energy. Yeah, exactly, Michelle. Always be careful when working with Hecate and Kali. Just be careful ever saying really their names. Just know who you're calling into, because just saying their names will call them in. I know from fact. I have said his name a couple times and he has come straight in. So when I say his name, he does come. And so this is why, like I said, be careful who you name drop. Be mindful, I should say, of who you name drop. And so if you don't really know any of the deities, then I recommend calling in somebody like Lord Ganesha, who has very powerful loving energy, deeply loving energy. So you just never know with these deities, because like I said, they're all real, every single one of them. Bradley is here. He's fashionably late. Just as we're about to hang up, there's Bradley. Hi, brother. Nice to see you. We're talking about cool stuff. Talking about Ganesha. When I had a session with Siddhartha, Lord Ganesha came in, was sitting in Angelica's kitchen. Oh, that's beautiful, Judy. I love that. What about Kuan Yin? Yes, Kuan Yin has wonderful healing energy. You can definitely call her in. Absolutely. Do you know much about Sekhmet? Sekhmet, wasn't she Irma? Pretty sure she was Irma. You know, it's funny too. We have actually, there was this one time I was chatting with Adriana. We were at lunch just hanging out in Grenada, and we were talking about like the old gods. And I was like, can you like tune into their energy? Like, if you were to say their name, can you tune into them? And so we checked. There was one Greek god that we checked on, and there was a huge block there. You could not, it's almost like they had a wall up where they were like, no, no peeking. So it's funny. Like, there's certain, like I said, there's certain, even the beings that were originally extraterrestrials that portrayed themselves as gods. See, I just mentioned Adriana and then she appears. I was just talking. I just said your name like 30 seconds ago and then ping, here you are. I was just telling them about the different deities and when you be mindful of who you're tuning into energetically. Because like I said, they know it's a two-way street. Like, when you are tuning into their energy, they are aware of it. They are fully well aware that you're tuning into their energy. So all kinds of exciting things occur when you start name dropping deities, just for the record. That one time we called in, you know who, I don't want to say his name right now because I don't want to call attention to him. I don't want to bring him in here. But that one time I felt like every inch of my body, even my hair, it felt like had goosebumps. Like, that is the most intense energy you can feel, really, is when you start bringing in deities. So it's like I've been calling it like my spiritual like bazooka, because obviously, you know, with the little things, it's not necessary to call in such a big energy. So sometimes you guys can clear yourselves without even having to call in any of these big energies. Sometimes even just calling in your own guides can clear you. Do you know anything about the Orishas? Nope. No, I do not. Maybe I can find somebody who does, though. Jennifer says, I connected with Thor once. He let me connect and then told me to be more careful. Yeah, I'm not surprised. That is something that he would say, actually. That's funny. There was this one time Bradley tuned into Thor, and Thor was just like not saying anything, just stoic. Thor is the man of few words. But we love you just the same, Thor, just for the record, because I'm name dropping him. You probably heard me. I call him Dolores many times. Yes, you can call him Dolores. Absolutely. If you're going to have a QHHT session, right? Call upon Dolores just before you sit down. Let her know. Say, Dolores, hi, I love you. I'm going to have a session today. Could you please, be with me and support me and look after me while I'm having a session? So you can even call in. You can call in your loved ones. You can call in anybody. This is why I'm telling you the importance of understanding name dropping. Okay? You can call in anybody. It was really funny. We were in class last year, in person class, and we were chatting. We were saying something about name dropping, and one person mentioned a very famous pedophile from England. I will not say who, because I don't want to call him in. But as we were talking about this person, Jono came in the room and he goes, why is so-and-so's energy here? And we were like, what? And they were like, because we were just talking about him. And he's like, no, get Jimmy out of here. Nope. You got to be careful who you talk about, because we literally did. We called Jimmy's energy to us by talking about him. Right? So be aware that even just because somebody's dead does not mean they don't hear you. In fact, it means they do hear you. In fact, it means they hear you. It means they're 1,000 times more likely to hear you talking about them, for the record. So just be aware who you talk about, who you say. This is why I try not to name drop unless I'm actually actively trying to call them in, because they are aware of this. They hear everything. The name that shall not be named. Yes. So, any other questions? It's been fun hanging out with you guys today. You guys had some really good questions. Thank you for the wonderful conversation today. Yeah, he was super stoic. Like, oh my goodness, here's another one. I was immediately humbled. Most of the deities are like that, when you call them in. They're not really, they don't even like act like you would normally expect a deity to act. They're just happy to be of assistance in many cases. Were you wondering if he had entities and that's why he did what he did? Yes, Chantal, exactly. That is the whole premise of the conversation. Funny that you intuitively knew that. Yep, that was the reason why we were asking those questions. And in most cases, yes, that is why those things happen, is that there were, trauma does have a huge factor in it, but in most cases, there's an entity that is kind of being a puppet master, or at least using someone else's trauma. Like if you were molested as a child and then an entity finds this trauma within you, they start pushing that on you as well to perpetuate the cycle. What about, I don't even want to say that name. I don't know anything about him. Kaylee, I see your comment. Morningstar. No, I don't know. I don't know anything about him. So I will not say his name out loud just because I don't know. If you don't know, better than not to say it at all, just for the record. I don't even like saying the name of Zeus. Like he's a deceased Tegetan who lived 5,000 years ago, and I don't even like to say his name because you never know. He could be fucking listening. So, like I said, be careful who you name drop. Thor popped in for Adriana, Lara, and me once, and he told Adriana to tell me that he would be there for me anytime I ask. Yes, he did. And Thor's energy is very intense, just for the record. Like, holy shit intense, as you would expect. Red daisies are transformation and rebirth. That's beautiful. Didn't know that. I asked if I could carry some of his energy with me to have more courage, and I have been much braver since then. Yes, you can. That is one of the things you can absolutely do, is call and ask them to infer you with some kind of a gift. But keep in mind, they do like offerings themselves. So it's even give and receive with the deities, It's like we had this chat with Bradley about this. Like, Thor would come for you anytime you ask, but it's also nice to do things for Thor too. To, leave a plate outside for the animals in his honor, or to have a big bonfire in his honor and sing songs around it. All of those little things. Also, keep in mind that a lot of the reasons why back in the olden days, they would force you to pray to certain beings, right? They would force you. They would be like, no, you have to support my deity or else I'm going to kill you. One of the reasons for that was because they were worshiping entities, and that entity was taking that energy every time they prayed to them. So whenever you pray to a deity, you are giving them energy. And if there is a dark entity that is at the helm of the religion, then you are feeding that dark entity every time you pray in that religion without even being aware of it. Okay? So this is why they would rather having you, they're like, no, you pray to me or die. Like, that is why they would have that attitude back in the olden times, because it was the entities that would say that. You either pray to me and give me your energy, or you get the fuck out of here. That was the entities doing that, 100%. So just be aware. Yes, exactly. Don't worship, honor them. You honor them, you don't worship them, because they're not big G God, okay? None of them are. Only Source is. And everything is Source. So technically everything is God, including you. Even you are big G if you think about it. Just a disassociated subpersonality of Big G, but still connected to Big G. Chantel says, I ain't no snack. Exactly. On another podcast, can we talk about Egyptian mystery schools if you have any insights? Well, I'm sure we could find the Soul Guide to have some insights on that. So we'll see. Zach is coming on the podcast next week, right, Adriana? Maybe we can put Zach under some pressure and ask him some personal questions about these certain things. The Soul Guides have the best answers for those sort of things. So, all right. Well, anyway, I love you all very, very much. And I am going to go and do my adulting for the day. It was wonderful to spend the morning with you guys. I love hanging out with you all. Thank you so much for the wonderful comments and the great questions. And I look forward to having a chat with you guys all on Monday. We will have the mentorship as well on Astara on Monday. So we'll have a 2-hour chat then too. What about Platon the philosopher? I have no idea who you're talking about, Katerina. Sounds like an alien. Even Jesus was an alien, just for the record. Yeshua was an ET. In fact, Katie is out. We'll let Katie talk about this later. Actually, I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag next week. You guys can hear about it then. Katie has a new guide, which you guys will hear about on Friday next week. She has that guide, Magdalena, but there's also a new guide that has come through. And this is also one that is connected to Magdalena and the whole Christ consciousness thing. So that'll be a very interesting podcast. So perhaps we can even ask questions then about these things. And look at that. It's 11:44 my time. Perfect time. Number the star seeds to say goodbye. Love you guys. I will see you all on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend. Mwah. Bye.